So let's take a look at ED230, which is pretty simple. And what you're going to do here is learn how to put these protections on your Linux binaries. So ED230 is here. .240 is Intro to 64-bit Assembler, which I just did during a lecture. And here's Hardening ELF Binaries. So we're just going to add a couple of security programs. So we make a vulnerable program here that has a buffer overflow in it. It's got a main program which calls a test.pw function, and the test.pw function has 10 characters to put in the password, but it does fgetS for up to 50 characters, so you can have a buffer overflow. So that's a vulnerable program. And you compile this thing, and with 30, what you got now is 64-bit code. So let me bring this up. This is ED230. If I go here, all right, cd dot ED230. Okay. Oh, I must have put it up here by accident. Yep, okay, pwd and pwd.c are here. All right, so if I do file of pwd, it will tell me it is a 64-bit executable. All right, now I can learn more about that program by using hardening check, which you install dev scripts, and now you have hardening check. So, pwd. Okay, so this tells me quite a few things about the security of that program. And let me just make sure I'm making this visible on the screen. Okay, it's a little bit higher yet. All right, so position independent executable, yes. This means it will move in memory randomly every time you run it. On an operating system that wants to do that, and they all do that by default now. The stack is not protected by like a canary value at the end of stack frames to prevent buffer overflows. It does not have fortified functions, doesn't have read-only relocations. It does have that, doesn't have immediate binding, stack clash, or control flow integrity. These are a whole bunch of desirable security features, and it only has a couple of them right now, because I compiled it with the default compiler, and the default compiler does not turn on all these protections. So that's one thing, and you can use checksec to get another list of vulnerabilities. Checksec, and I think you just name the program. Maybe I give it -- file equals pwd. All right, and this gives you a very wide printout that wraps around in sort of a silly way. But anyway, now it shows you, I'm going to make my window wide so it quits wrapping around. There we are. So this is relocation read-only to stop you from writing on the relocation records, which we were doing in the format string vulnerability project. And that is partially protected. There's no stack canary found, which is what this was telling you. There is non-executable code enabled, which we saw before when we looked at it with objdump. We saw that the one area of memory was executable but not writable, and the other was writable but not executable. So that's using NX. Here's position independent executable enabled. Here's something called rpath and runpath, which are turned off. It does have some symbols. It doesn't have fortified, and so on. So these are another series of security features that you can put on. And so now, to get your points in this one, you have to learn what these things are and learn how to turn them on. There is a way to turn it on. So you can disable position independent executable. You can add a stack canary, so the stack will now be protected. You can remove symbols, so there won't be any symbols in it, and on you go. You know, there's various ways to fortify it. You can turn on this fortify source functions and so on. You can learn how to turn on and off these defenses, and these defenses will block a lot of the attacks we've been using. And of course, for every defense, there's a way around it. If you submit a talk to DEF CON, I thought it was funny, any talk you submit, they say, if you're presenting an attack, what defense will stop it? And if you're presenting a defense, what attack will get through it? Because that's the way it is. No defense is ever perfect. No attack is ever perfect. So there's always something on the other side, and there's no getting around it. So each of these defenses will stop some of those attacks, but there's another attack that will get past them. And that's just the way it always is. So anyway, that's another project of extra credit where you can practice controlling some of these defenses.